The Second Phone: How I Discovered My Wife's Secret Life, Followed Her to a Hidden Dinner, and finally confronted the man she said was just a client. I never thought I'd be the kind of person who checks someone else's phone. That's how these stories always start, right? With a line you swear you'd never cross until something shifts so quietly, so subtly, that you don't even notice you're already standing on the other side. My wife, Claire, and I had been together for 8 years, married for 5. No kids yet, but we talked about it often, usually over late dinners or lazy Sunday mornings when the world felt soft and predictable. We weren't perfect, but we were stable, comfortable, the kind of couple people pointed to and said, they've got it figured out. And maybe that's why I ignored the signs at first. It started small. Claire began taking her phone with her everywhere. Not unusual, I guess, but she used to leave it lying around without a second thought. Now it was always face down, always within reach. Even in the shower, she'd take it into the bathroom. Then came the late nights. "I've got a project deadline," she said one evening, barely looking up from her laptop. "I might be working late all week." Claire worked in marketing, and deadlines weren't new, but this felt different. She was distant, not cold exactly, just somewhere else, like part of her had already left the room. I told myself I was imagining things, until the night I woke up at 2:17 a.m. The bed was empty. At first, I thought she'd gone to get water or use the bathroom, but then I heard her voice, soft, hushed, coming from the living room. I lay there for a moment, listening. "I know," she whispered. I can't right now. He's here." My chest tightened. I got out of bed quietly and walked down the hallway. The light from her phone cast a faint glow across her face as she sat on the couch, knees pulled up, completely absorbed. I didn't mean to eavesdrop, but I didn't stop myself either. "I miss you." A pause, then softer. "I wish things were different." Something inside me cracked. I stepped back before she could see me and returned to the bedroom, my heart pounding so hard it felt like it might give me away. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, replaying those words over and over. "I miss you. I wish things were different." When she came back to bed, she slipped under the covers like nothing had happened. Her hand brushed mine briefly, and for a second I almost reached for her, but I didn't. The next morning, everything felt normal, too normal. She made coffee, kissed me goodbye, asked if I could pick up groceries after work. It was like the night before had never happened. I wanted to confront her, demand answers, but something held me back. Fear, maybe, or the need to be absolutely sure. That's when I noticed the second phone. It was tucked into her work bag, barely visible under a stack of papers. I only saw it because she left the zipper slightly open. My stomach dropped. Claire had one phone. We both did. That was it. So why did she have another? I didn't touch it, not then. I just stood there, staring at the bag like it might explain itself if I waited long enough. It didn't. That night, I barely slept. The next day, I made a decision I'm still not proud of. I came home early. Claire wasn't there. Her car was gone, which wasn't unusual. She often ran errands after work. But her bag was on the kitchen table, and the zipper was open. I told myself I was just going to look, just confirm what I already knew, nothing more. My hands were shaking as I reached inside and pulled it out. A cheap phone. Not new, but not old either. The kind you buy when you don't want to leave a trace. I pressed the power button. It lit up instantly. No password. That hurt more than anything, because it meant she didn't think she needed to hide it that carefully. Or maybe she just never expected me to look. There were only a few apps installed. Messages, photos, a couple of social media accounts. I opened the messages first. There was only one contact. No name, just a number. But the conversation, it went back months. At first, it was casual, friendly. then flirty, then something more. Inside jokes I didn't understand, plans that had already happened, words that used to belong to us. I can't stop thinking about last night. I wish I could wake up next to you every day. You deserve better than this. Each message felt like a punch to the chest. I scrolled further. Photos. Nothing explicit, but intimate in a way that hurt more than anything graphic ever could. Selfies, smiles I hadn't seen in months, little moments shared between two people who clearly meant something to each other. To her. My hands went cold. Then I saw the name. It wasn't in the messages, it was in one of the photos, a screenshot of a contact card she'd sent him at some point. Ethan Hart. I stared at it for a long time. Ethan. I didn't know any Ethan, or at least I didn't think I did, until it clicked. 2 months ago, Claire had mentioned a new client, someone she was working closely with. She talked about him a lot at first, how driven he was, how creative, how easy he was to work with. Then she stopped mentioning him altogether, because she didn't need to. He was already part of her life. I don't know how long I stood there holding that phone. Time felt irrelevant. Eventually, I put it back exactly where I found it, and I waited. When Claire came home, she smiled like always. "Hey," she said, kicking off her shoes. "You're home early." "Yeah," I replied. My voice sounded strange, even to me. Work was slow. She nodded, distracted, already reaching for her bag. For a split second, I thought she'd notice something was off, that she'd sense it. But she didn't. She just picked up the bag, zipped it closed, and walked past me like everything was fine. That was the moment I realized something important. She wasn't just hiding this from me. She was living in it, completely. That night, I didn't confront her. The next day, I didn't either. Instead, I watched. I noticed the little things I'd ignored before. The way she smiled at her phone, the way she'd step out of the room to take calls, the way she seemed lighter somehow when she thought I wasn't looking, like she was happier, just not with me. A week passed, then 2. I don't know what I was waiting for. Maybe I hoped it would stop, that she'd come back to me on her own. She didn't. So I made a plan. One Friday evening, I told her I had a work dinner. "I might be late," I said casually. "Don't wait up." She nodded, barely hiding her relief. That told me everything I needed to know. Instead of going to dinner, I parked a few streets away from our apartment and waited. An hour later, she left, dressed up, more than usual. She got into her car and drove off. I followed, not too close, just enough to keep her in sight. She drove across town to a small restaurant I'd never seen before, cozy, dimly lit, the kind of place you go when you want to feel like the rest of the world doesn't exist. I parked and watched. 5 minutes later, a man walked up to her, tall, confident, familiar in a way that made my stomach twist. He smiled when he saw her, and she lit up. That was the worst part. Not the betrayal, not the lies, but the way she looked at him, like he was everything. I stayed there for a while, just watching them through the window, laughing, talking, existing in a world that didn't include me. Then I left. I didn't need to see more. When I got home, I sat in the dark and waited, this time for her. When she walked in, she froze, because I was sitting there, lights off, silence heavy in the room. "Hey," she said slowly, setting her bag down. "Are you okay?" I looked at her, really looked at her, at the woman I thought I knew, at the life we'd built together, at everything that was about to fall apart. "Who's Ethan?" I asked. The color drained from her face, and in that moment, before she said a single word, I knew the answer. I just needed to hear it from her.